You know, since the rear seemed to be very movie, as you're saying it, it's what was the f***ing point of that? That was f***ing stupid. Anyway.
I don't know. Look, just something I want to say real quick. All you motorcycle, whoever the hell, all right? Look, if you don't weld, don't wear a welding hat and think you're cool. Everybody's wearing welding hats these days. Don't even know how to weld.
Okay, well, that was a rant.
It's dumb shit.
Get off my hand!
Tomatoes. Wolf Tick Nation, thank you guys for tuning into another Wolf Tick Videos episode. On today's episode, guys, we are featuring the Mongoose Salvo 2, the full squish. You can get it right now at Dick's Sporting Goods, or you can check out the affiliate links in the description below, all right? There's been a whole bunch of hubbub about this bike. Is it worth it? It's not worth it. Wouldn't pay that. That's a sweet bike. Group set's the best thing you got going for you. Well, regardless of all those comments, we are out here versus the Hayes Creek Black Diamond Trail. We're going to be on the Salvo 2 today. We're going to do a few change-ups here in a little bit, but Hayes Creek is right there behind me. It's one of my favorite trails in Arkansas. 2.15 mile downhill Black Diamond. It's awesome.
Now you're at 2.15.
Yeah, 2.15 or 2.3.
You're all over.
I am so looking forward to riding on this bike because this bike so far has floated over just a lot of stuff, right? Now, given the trail that we just took this thing on, it's a Woolly Hollow State Park and right outside of Greenbrier, Arkansas. It wasn't the most technical trail, but it felt like I was over bike. So before we start doing any kind of upgrades or anything to this bike, we're going from box to Black Diamond. We're going to see if this thing holds up, tires and tubes included. We got the Suntour fork up front, the Radon in the rear. I have a pretty good feeling about this. Leave in the comments, you guys think we're going to get any flats or anything like that? I don't know.
This is the trail you get flats on.
Is that a fork pump in your pocket?
It is.
Let me see it.
I'm not just happy to see you.
So we're also going to do, guys, we're going to mess with this rear shock. We actually brought the little sag chart that that Mongoose sent with you with this bike. We got the fork pump. We're going to mess with the fork a little bit, get it tuned where we think it should be, and then we're going to hit these trails, all right? So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn those notifications on, and let's get after it. All right, guys, here we go. This is the Suntour Sag Tool rear shock. I scanned that thing, I typed in the website, it will not go there. It says web page can't be found. So we're going to check the sag with this. We usually don't do this. It's kind of just a, hey, pump it up where we think it feels good and then get after it. But let's see.
A little breezy.
A little breezy, but it's very scientific. So, we can see 40 millimeter, and let me sit down on this thing and see where it goes. Did it move at all?
It's moving. I don't know what it's doing. I can't hold the camera and focus on it and see what's going on. You're going to have to figure it out.
Riveting content, all right? Don't say we didn't try it. I'm going to say it's 25% sag all day, all right? So we got that out of the way. Now, that thing is set at 100, and honestly, guys, given that I've slowed down the rebound, which is a little bit nicer on this because there's actually some clickage.
You sure didn't put that on wrong?
Yeah, it's on right. Yeah, I think the rebound's going to be good. It's a little bit slower, but we do have some pretty good-sized hits out here, and this trail has got a lot of switchbacks, a lot of berms, so I'm going to really be using the rear suspension. Huh?
Rock Gardens.
Yeah, Rock Gardens, baby heads. Let's check this PSI. If I can get the son of a bitch to go on there. Honestly, I think that the fork is too high in pressure because there's not very much movement up there. That rear takes in a whole bunch, and that's one of the pluses to this bike, and we'll be talking about that. Okay, well, I'm gonna interject right here and say that just a few seconds ago when you hit the deal coming in, it was perfect. Was it? Oh, it's at 80 right now.
Well, why did it go up to 80? I thought we had it at 77 or 70.
That's at 80.
Well, there's a problem right there.
We'll go to 77. There was some chatter in the rear, and Berserker Nick said when we get this thing back to the shop, go ahead and unscrew all of the little pinion pivot points back there, little pinions, little pivot points back there, and grease it up. And he says maybe that'll help out with some of the chatter. And don't quote me, but I do believe that those are seal bearings all throughout the rear.
Well, we're not going to quote you because you don't know.
We'll check those out on a different episode. But yeah, so it's gonna be a real-time review 2. We're gonna see what happens. I'm confident in this bike doing well. I'm just not so confident about the tires gripping really well because this is a rough trail. You know, anybody that's gone out and rode this trail, they know how rough it is. But let's get this guy off there and let's get after it, guys.
Ants, man! I got big old ants all over.
All right, guys, about to hit Hayes Creek. Here we go. Unlike any episode that you have seen before on Wolftick videos, besides the patrons with the Patreon, we are going to show the entire trail. All right? We're going to show the entire trail.
Are you?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't make that guarantee. I wouldn't make that guarantee. I would say
find out.
Show most of the trail.
Find out. I'm gonna drop in from up here. Dropping. And old Chris H. I wasn't talking about Sam Pilgrim. It was another guy. His tagline was dropping. And back in the day when we first started the channel, he would comment on our channel.
Dropper.
What?
Urban Dropper.
What?
Urban Dropper.
Oh, Urban Dropper. That was his name. Wolfman down there. Urban Dropper. Yeah, so when we first started the channel, I remember looking at this guy and like going, oh my God, he's got such a big channel. He had like 2,500 subscribers. It was really cool was Urban Dropper took time to watch our episode, and somebody's pulled over there, watch our episodes and comment, and was like, man, how don't you guys have more subscribers? So that's who I was talking about. Urban Dropper. Whew. All right, I'm used to dropping in from over here, you know, and kind of getting warmed up. I did warm up earlier. I rode from the parking lot down to this portion. All right, guys, palms are sweaty. All right, let's do this, man. Salvo 2, I'm not going to, the clutch is on. Nice and smooth there. Nice and smooth there. What I like is the dropper post gets way out of the way for me on this thing. And what I've got to get used to, for one, is I got to start two-fingering these brakes. I was one-fingering them, and it just wasn't really getting the job done too much. Something I gotta get used to with the full suspension is the way the rear reacts. You know, people were talking about pivot points, and I wish they would kind of go a little bit further on the info. Again, you know, we don't really have a lot of full suspension, but they were talking about how the pivot points weren't that great designed on this bike. What do you mean? You know, what's better? Give me an example. Geez, give me an example of something that would be better, you know. First turn here. Yeah, I love that that seat is completely out of my way. Okay, I did get a pedal strike right now given the full suspension. As I was going to pedal, I hit the ground. Oh, a little rough there. That's gonna be something that this bike is going to need is new pedals, guys. I should have set some other cameras up. I wanted to really focus on the suspension. We're gonna need some new pedals because my feet are wanting to slip, especially walking in some of this this wet clay. It's picked up some mud, and these tires have done the same. So far they're doing okay, but we have a lot more riding to go and a lot more tire test areas. I love how smooth this bike is. The brakes are doing very good now. We'll see if we get any brake fade, because again, this is a long, long drawn out trail. And like I said, it is rough, but I mean, I don't really feel a huge difference with our upgraded ledge and this bike as far as the design, I guess, of the pivot points in the rear. A lot of chatter in the rear right now. They both feel super smooth, you know. This one here seems like it works well with itself. It's not fighting against itself. I think maybe one of the downsides, oh yeah, dude, just flowing over stuff, flowing. I think one of the downsides maybe to the design, when it comes to the geometry maybe, is going to be Savage Rock Garden. Is going to be that I don't use a lot of that fork up front. Areas like this I do, but what I'm saying is most of the time, okay, tires are gripping good there. We've got a lot more coming up here. Ooh. It seems like the rear does all of the work. Ugh. A little muddy down here. We'll take a look at this bike. Was pointing out with the geometry of this thing and saying that the rear area looks funky or cheesy or something like that. I don't really get it. You know, I do like how this splits off here, how it twists, and we talked about that on a real-time review, which is really cool. We have a massive amount of chain slap going right now, but, you know, this is a 1x10. I'm in 9th gear, so, I mean, that's going to be a given on this trail. I know it pretty well, so I'm always just pedaling and pedaling and pedaling and trying to gain a lot of speed. Some flow areas down towards the bottom. I'm still going to have it in probably 9th or 10th gear, so we can't really get away from that, but we can get a chainstay protector, and we've got plenty of those at the shop, so maybe we'll have to install that. Let's look at this rear shock. It looks like I've used a lot of that travel up. Hopefully you guys are seeing that with the camera. And let's look at this fork up here. Okay, look at that. we've used a lot of this fork up, probably in that Savage Rock Garden. You know, honestly, I think we can probably lessen the air on this. And I'm saying that because the rear is just taking up so much of the brunt force on this thing. I mean, is there something off or something that's maybe people would like to see it's a little bit different on the rear triangle there? I'm not sure, you know. It doesn't seem completely off to me. The only thing, again, is it just seems like the fork is not doing as much work as it should. And so that makes me go, well, maybe we should lower the air pressure in there. All right, let's keep on keeping on. Such a fun trail. Brakes are still feeling good. I did adjust the throw on them. I brought them in. And that's another thing that people always say, and I'm calling bullshit on it. People always say, oh, well, you start adjusting reach, you're going to introduce air into the system and they won't be as good and you'll have to bleed them. I don't know about that. Here's a good little drop here. Dude, bike's smooth, man. Gnat in the mouth. I don't know about reintroducing air with adjusting reach. That's been commented more than once. A lot of damn chatter in the rear. Okay, we got a good drop coming up here. A lot bigger in person than, whoa! Super smooth, a lot bigger in person on that drop than what it looks like on camera. I can promise you that. Tires are picking up some rocks. Honestly, they're doing good right now. I would prefer a fatter tire up front. And the reason why, oh yeah, holy flew through that area. I always crash in that area. Flew through it because the butteriness of this bike. Wow. Dropper going up. Man, I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. I don't even know what I was talking about. I lost it. Oh, I would like a fatter tire on the front because on a trail like this, that's so washed out, maybe washed out's not a good word, it's just really loose right now. Look at them. Look at that stuff work. I would like to have a little more confidence in the turns. Not so much these big berms because I can use the whole bike, but stuff like this. This trail is notorious for flat turns at a high rate of speed. And a lot of people go, well, it's not a Black Diamond trail. There's a lot of technical aspects to this trail. I know it really well. I'm not saying I'm the greatest of riders, but there's a lot of stuff that a lot of areas I've crashed on this trail because a lot of the turns are so unassuming. You'll have a good turn with no berm on it, and right after the turn, there's rocks. I believe this one has a berm, but it's similar to this turn here. Here, then we got rocks immediately, a little feature. Decent air there. I think my favorite, oh yeah, I think my favorite thing about this bike so far is the dropper and the location of the seat post. I'm not sure what the reach and all that is on it, but what's great is when I go to squat my legs down, it is getting completely out of my way. I can feel the back of the saddle right between my legs. And that's great, you know, without the fear of rubbing the tire. Okay, a little loose there, very loose, I should say, with the tires in that area. Wasn't muddy. Big drop here. See how they grip into this turn? That's a, oh yeah. Make sure these cameras are all good. They're picking up a lot of mud, but buddy, that turn right there off of that drop, again, it doesn't look like it's anything probably with a GoPro effect, but it's a big drop. And these things are just, I mean, picking up a whole bunch of mud. My back's probably all muddy now, damn it. Make sure these cameras are a little clean. The tires are doing good. Again, I'm a fat tire guy, man. I think really this bike should have come with a 2.6 up front and maybe a 2. I don't know, you know, honestly, the 2.2 in the rear is very fast. It's getting pretty, it was pretty sloppy right here. Yeah. You guys can see here, I dug into it pretty well. And that back tire, what's nice is I'd have to slide out all it stuck right with the front where my line was. But that's a pretty good, you know, pretty good drop up there. I got air. I landed right about right there somewhere. Then we come down into it. But this is just such a fun trail. Like I said, it's very unassuming. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of nastiness on it until you get to actually riding it. And you had to take a long time to learn this trail, but we've got a pretty good little quick portion through here. Nice little side to side, and I believe there's a drop right over there too. We'll have to be careful on. Yeah, pedals are definitely a problem. My feet are already slipping. I'm hoping I don't get shinned, and I can't really keep a lot of speed throughout some of these corners right now. Here's that drop. keep a lot of speed throughout those corners right now because my feet, it's like I'm in the Olympics doing a braking competition or something. I mean, look at this. I'm doing the crip walk on this bike. Yeah, it's not good. And these shoes are amazing, so these pedals have got to go. This bike is a little difficult to pump and get air, you know. The pumping is all right. It's nowhere near a hardtail. But when it comes to pumping to gain speed, it's difficult to keep it. We got a feature up here. Good size feature. Oh man, got a little sidetracked. There was mud right before it. I could not hit it directly. Okay. I love that you can go hard into the corners. We talked about this on the real-time review. You can go hard into the corners with this bike and it tracks really well, just because you're soaking up into the turns because of the full suspension ability. But we're moving now. Here's my turn they redid for me. The downside again is the rear is absorbing so much and the fork doesn't really feel like it's doing anything. Oh, right there it did because I was forward heavy. I kind of have to be right now in a weird riding position due to the pedals. They are just really bad. Man, look at these pedals. Of course, they're gunked up with mud. My shoes are awesome shoes. And these things, my feet just feel like I'm going to slip every second, man. That's not good. We got some more travel usage in the fork up here. Let me clean that camera off. All right, so that's a really good sign. Way more travel up front being used. And of course the rear, we've probably bottomed that out. I don't know if we've got a good camera shot on that or not. But the bike's doing well. Some of the chatter has gone away. And you guys can see here, I'm in 8th gear as opposed to 10th. So some of that chatter is going away. We do have the clutch on. Which makes a pretty good difference, and we'll probably do the drop test and all that. We're in the shop. The grips and the bars are feeling extremely comfortable. I did crap talk the grips a little bit while we were doing the real-time review, the first one. You know, they're not full lock-on grips, they're very thin, and I thought, man, you could like really feel the bar in these things, and I could definitely get some fatigue, or see how their hands could get really fatigued throughout the throughout a ride. But for a trail like this, I want to feel the trail, and it's difficult because I'm so used to riding on a hardtail. And anybody that's had the experience of learning on a hardtail, switching to a pretty nice full suspension, knows what I'm talking about when you feel the trail way more with the hardtail as opposed to a full suspension. So given that the bars are really thin, the grips are really thin, I like that right now because it's making me a little bit more one with the trail as opposed to a fat grip. That's why I don't like fat grips. But the full suspension, I'm floating over everything, and it is it's another experience for sure. It's completely something different that I'm not used to. I'm really starting to kind of get into this bike now as far as the feel. And it sucks that one of my main points of contact are crap. Like those things already look, and they're not, but the paint's wore off. They already look like they're really wore out. I mean, look how thin those cleats are on there, or those pins. They're so tiny, you know. Or I guess I don't know if you consider them pins still. I guess it'd just be grip because you can't remove them. Climbing's really good with this bike. That's something that I was surprised with, and again, it's like I was talking crap about the lockout, the shock not having a lockout, but really it's not taking too much out of me. We got nothing but speed coming up now, guys. These tires are going to play a big role, and so are these brakes. It's not zapping my energy like I thought it was going to, but it's like that front fork's not really moving, you know, which is a good thing, I guess, when you're climbing. I mean, you can lock it out, but there's no need to even lock it out in the climbing department just because it doesn't really move. And I know I keep going back to that. That's the only way I can explain it. Unless you really put a lot of weight up front. Okay, we're gonna put this thing in 10th gear, and this Advent X is bulletproof. It's gone through some stuff already. A lot of shifting. It's muddy right now. The clutch is on. Always makes the group set act really weird. But it's shifting just fine. Again, still chattery in the rear end. I'm wondering if maybe we should shorten this chain a little bit or something. Let's try these pumps here. We can pump them okay. Can't get up to quite fast of a rate of speed like we can with a a hardtail, of course, because that back's doing such a good job of absorbing stuff. Now we're throwing rocks all over the place because these tires are muddy. Tires are muddy and they're picking up some of this shale. It's a little bit more dry. Rear end is good. The tire, as far as what I mean is, it's being able to be kicked out, kind of handled. I like doing little tail whips on little bitty features like this here, little tail whip action to the side, get me lined up. But that front right now, buddy, if I didn't know that trail, I had just crashed. That front is all over. It's gonna be sketchy right here. We're almost to the parking lot, and this is the fastest portion of the trail. I've gotten up to about 24 miles an hour here before. Ooh, and that's usually my send-off point. Oh, damn, whew, that was close. A lot of body control, a lot of bike control, and you have to be one with the bike on this portion of the trail. Just the slightest of slips, and you're off of it. Wow, fun ride, really fun ride. We'll get with the Wolf, man, we'll talk about it a little bit. Not one flat, that's impressive. Okay. Is the light okay right here?
No, it's horrible.
It's horrible?
Yeah, get over here or something.
I'm standing wrong. Muddy ride, but very enjoyable. Very enjoyable on this bike. You know, the last few times with the just other bikes we've been taking on this trail have been very rough. That trail's super rough. And right now, it almost felt like back in the day when that trail had just been laid out. Full suspension on that trail, absolutely amazing. This thing is butter going over everything, right? The weird thing that I felt was that the rear was putting in way more work than the front was. You know, we don't ride a lot of full suspension bikes, but I'm just curious if that was Mongoose's idea behind this bike. It's strange. It's a weird. It's weird because, like, climbing, it doesn't seem like my energy is being zapped away from the rear shock. But when I'm going downhill, it feels like that sucker's putting in work, which we can see from the lines and all that, and probably the camera views that we showed. But it also seems that the front's not really doing that much until I really need it. Which it's not a big problem because the bike feels amazing still.
Well, what do you want? What do you want?
I guess I would like
equal.
I would like them to be pretty close to equal. You know, like one of the problems I'm seeing is whenever you go into a turn, for instance, it's nice because you can keep a lot of speed, and with a full suspension you expect for that thing to really hunker down, and it does about midway through like a big berm. The problem is it's only being sucked up from the rear, so once I go into the turn, the front's not absorbing it the way I would like it to and working with the rear. It almost is working against each other. I have to take it low because I know I can't, or I have to take it really high because I know I can't get that force on the front end, and then as soon as I hit the middle of it, that rear end drops in a good way, but it's almost like I want that preload into it, both front and rear, and then that shooting me out, and I'm not getting it here.
Okay, well, two things. One, we won't know until we watch back the footage as far as how much the front's working. Two, I said I think the rear should have more air because it does not have a lockout, but I know you're going downhill. But my figuring was, I just felt like if we stiffened up the pressure in the rear shock, that it was going to, because that front, I noticed before, like when you first Realtime review, the front was not working nearly as hard as the rear.
Yeah.
So I figured we would stiffen up the rear, loosen the front by adding a little bit in the rear, take a little bit out of the front. But
we took a little bit out of the front.
Yeah, but we didn't you wanted to stick with the rear. I just thought the rear was a little soft, but since you're doing downhill, not climbing, I went ahead and said whatever. But I just think we should have made those adjustments. I think without making those adjustments, I don't know how much you can say about I think we need to try putting another 20 pounds at least.
Possibly, and that's the thing, you know, that's what's great about mountain biking is if you've got all damn day to sit there and tinker and dial it in, then you got a beautiful ride. And I'm not saying it wasn't great. It was just, that's one of the issues with that. So
I get what you're saying. So I'm saying, but what I'm saying is we might have the remedy right in front of us in the way of a shock pump.
Yeah. So that's, I think you might be right. You might be right. Yeah.
Who knows?
We have to try it. Tire pressure 32 psi. You can see how muddy this bike is.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna get B-roll of it. I'm disappointed in the muddiness.
I would like for the front tire. I wish they would have given us a 2.6, especially riding a trail like that. You know, it's clay. It's really good surfaces. There is a little bit of
2.4 on a 29er is a good sized tire.
Yeah, I'd like a 2.6 up front
on a 29er.
Yeah, I am a big fan.
I don't know if I ever see those.
Well, watch Wolftig videos. I do like the rear.
I don't think we own any.
I do like the rear being a 2.25 because how skinny it is and how fast, and on a little bit of those, I don't really want to call them features, but just a little bit of the natural stuff out there, I'm able to kind of do my little butt tail whip, you know, and track my tire. It tracks really good. The front one, I just want a little bit wider. I don't know. They're good tires. They didn't pop out there, and that's saying something, especially for this trail, because we always get flats out here. But the tires did good. I'm not going to hand that too much. The group set did really good. It was just very chattery, but you know I like to ride for speed, and most of the time I was in 8th, 9th, or 10th gear, and we talked about that.
Is that chainstay beat up?
No, they put a pretty good, thick, clear decal on there.
Okay, well, I was just wondering how much of it is that, and some people were saying that and I think you were saying that the rear triangle was chattered.
It's not the rear triangle.
It's not. It's the chain. Okay.
Yeah. The clutch is on, but that's a rough trail. We can get a chainstay protector and fix that. We done talked about that. All in all, the biggest upgrade I can't wait to do to this bike. It's got a dropper. It's got a great fork. It's got a great shock on it. I really can't wait to put some.
Shock's great.
I can't wait to put some pedals on this thing.
Yeah, it needs pedals.
Oh man, yeah, it was so sketchy out there riding because it just seemed halfway through like I was gonna slip off these pedals, and we always talk about points of contact, or a lot of people comment about that.
Please don't.
It sucked for one of my main point of contacts to be the pedals, and my feet slipping all over the place. You know, that was dangerous. So
yeah,
better pedals.
I think from out the box, I think it should have had nicer pedals.
Yeah.
But especially that price range, I disagree with you. I don't think that rear shock is great. I think it's okay.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I would like to see something better. It's better than having a cheap coil shock on her. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some upgrades, you know, to the pedals. Grips actually worked out fine.
I think this bike deserves a better shock.
Yeah, maybe even the better fork over time, but I love the frame design. I think my favorite thing about the bike is the dropper and the saddle location, because when my butt's going down, this right here, right behind the saddle, is right between my legs, and it feels so good to be able to maneuver a 29-inch bike that's in a small frame, you know? Yeah. I can't say that a lot with 29ers because they're so big, and a lot of them aren't sized out for me.
Well, and that's one of the things that we've noticed with this and the Ledge, is both of them. Now the Ledge being it's a one size fits all when they made it, right?
Yeah.
And it's the X1, but it does fit you really well, and this bike fits you really well. So
yeah,
maybe that creates a little bit of biasness, you know, as far as the way the bike feels to you, because it's nice to have a bike that fits you.
Yeah, this bike fits me really well. 29er, the Mongoose Salvo too. I can't wait to get this thing in the shop, do some cleaning up on it, do some greasing on it, and then start doing some upgrades over time. But guys, that was another Wolfstick Videos episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy watching most of this trail, a black diamond on this bike, and me kind of doing a real-time review on more of a hardcore trail. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and I think I did decent. Explained to you guys some of the feel that I meant out there. I was trying to do my best to kind of talk about what I was feeling.
And we still have to finish our initial impressions with the weight and some other stuff, and when we do that, we're going to compare it maybe to some other bikes and stuff. Talk about some of the comments.
Listed a GT, and it's like, whoa, GT come with some stuff. But, all right, guys, you want to find this bike, or the Salvo one, or the Ledge, maybe some of the stuff I'm wearing today, please check out the affiliate links in the description below. We will see you guys on the next episode. We appreciate you guys watching. Another fun Wolfstick Videos episode, man. Gotta go clean this bike up now.
Yeah. Yeah.